الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده أما بعد. So we are looking at the types of verbs, and as you know, there are several different ways of looking at verb. We have covered some, and there is the talk about the types of madi. I mean, you can categorize the past tense into different subcategories. Is it madi of the recent past of the recent time, or is it just so long ago, so far, or is it really recent? And there are other subtypes that you've covered. So let's move on to declension again, which we started last week. So we just revise that bit. So declension is done on noun and verb both. In noun, you have already covered that there are certain words, kalimat, which are fully declinable, and they're called munsarif. They can be changed as and when needed, depending on the situation. And there are some which are partially declined, and that means mamnu' min as-sarf or ghayr munsarif, and it means that they cannot take tanween and they cannot take kasra. They can take fatha and dhamma. And then there are certain which do not decline, means externally they keep the status exactly the same in all three situations of i'rab, which is marfu, mansub, and majroor. So they stay in the same state. Hada in all three states. Then for verb, there are munsarif, and this is only for mudari', which is that it would change its position, its states into marfu, mansub, and not majroor this time, majzoom, which is jazm, jasiv, silence on it. The last one would have no fatha, dhamma, or kasra, rather it would have a sukoon on it. And the mabni, there's no ghairu munsarif there, but mabni is when it doesn't change. And this is madi, daraba remains daraba, abada remains abada. Now let's look at sahih or salim. This is another way of looking at verb and or even noun as well. So noun or verb, any kalima, they could have some consonants and they could have some vowels, and some are called sound, wholesome, free of defects. So the word would be salim or sahih. You can call it sahih or you can call it salim, both ways fine, same meaning, sound, free of any defect or faults. And there are certain noun and verbs which are not sahih, means they are not salim, means they are defective, means they have some faults in them. We'll cover that in a minute. If you know the definition of sahih, you would know the non-sahihs. So the sahih or salim, the sound, so the sound ones are the one which are free from any of those defects. And we'll look at those defects. Now, there is nahw and there is sarf. There is nahw and there is sarf. Nahw is your grammar. Sarf is morphology. Sarf deals with derivatives, changing the form from one to another. For example, you have abada, ya'budu, which is abada is changed into ya'budu, abid, abidun, abiduna, abidina. So you are just changing a word, a kalima, be it ism or fail, into something else by changing the structure a bit here and there, putting on different framework, maybe some different format, changing that format, adding some extra letters, removing some, bring about a change which would mean completely different thing. Similar, but different in a sense that it is not that word anymore. For example, if you say abada, abada, he worshipped. Ya'budu. So what you have done, you have just added extra ya, changed some of the i'rab, some of the harakat, the designation marks on them, and it gives slightly different meaning, which is he is worshipping or he will worship, mudari. Then same word, abid, ain badal, you just added extra alif and you made it into abidun, fa'ilun, on the scale of fa'ilun. So abada ya'budu was verb, madi and mudari. You change that into noun now, which is abidun fa'ilun, the doer. So with tanween at the end, you know it is noun. Abidun, tanween is only seen on noun and some huruf as well. So you're changing the morphology, the structure from one to another. This is the scope of sarf. So the grammar, on the other hand, deals with the last letter of the word, kalima, and how it is connected to the next word, related to each other. What is the role of this particular word in the sentence? So sarf deals with a word and its form, how it's changing from one to another, the mushtaqat, the derivatives from one to another. Sarf means to change, to turn around, to have some sort of structural change. And nahv deal with the role of that word in the sentence. Is it fa'il? Is it maf'ul? Is it the doer? Is it the object? What is the connection there? So that is why sarf deals with the structure of the word. So it would be focusing on every letter of the word. Whereas nahv, the grammar, has nothing to do with the first two or initial letters. Is more interested in dealing with the last letter, final letter normally. But that's a general difference between the two. So in Nahaw, the Sahih would be anything that does not have any word, that does not have a vowel letter. Vowel letter means weak letter, defective letter. In Arabic, these are called huruf al-illah. Illah has two meanings. Illat. When you stop at rounded ta, it becomes illah. Actually, it is illatun. And in Urdu language, you would say illat. Some Arab use illat as well. They pronounce the last letter as well. So illah. Illah has two meanings. One is reason behind something. Other is illness. So here it means illness, weak. Weak letters. What are the weak letters in Arabic? The vowel letter, which are maybe the letter which are not consonant. So alif, waw, and ya. Alif, waw, and ya are called weak letter, huruful illah. If a word, a kalima, has huruful illah at the end, it is called a weak letter, not sound, not salim. So sahih would be free from any harfi illah, alif wa ya, at the end. Like dalwun. See, this is dalwun. It has wow at the end. So this is a non-sahih or weak letter. A word then. Whole word becomes weak. Dhabiyun likewise. Okay. Next, look at the sarf. In sarf, there is, since they deal with every letter and they're interested in each of them rather than the last letter only, then they would say a word should be free from harfi illa, alif wa ja, at any position, be it fa kalima, ain kalima, lam kalima. It shouldn't be anywhere, not just last letter. It shouldn't be at any place. So that's one. Second, it shouldn't have a hamza, because hamza is a jerky letter. You have to pronounce it with a jerk. So they say, make it easy. So they don't like it. They say it's not sound. It befits that we should not say hamza. We shouldn't have hamza actually, because it's too jerky. It is not that, sophisticated. It's not that beautiful. And Arabs, as you know, are very, much seek their pride in their language, and they're very, in love and actually almost infatuation with their language, which is good. So they want their language to be best and perfect. And actually, they have the reason for that. The language is just that beautiful, mashallah. Anyway, so they would suggest that a jerky letter does not fit the criteria of sahih. So for Sarfi, the morphologist would want no hamza in the word. So there should be no harfi illa at any position, no hamza at any position. And finally, even a sahih letter, which is not hamza and not harfi illa, rather a consonant, normal letter, they said, we are happy with one of them, but not two together. No two letters of the same origin means two same letter in a word. So they would not like that. Now you look at the examples, it will make sense. So for Nahu, it's easy. Dalwun and Dhabyun is fine. Okay. So this is non-sahih. What about Waladun and Waladun? So you look at Waladun. Is this sahih or ghair sahih? It's sahih. Why? Because although you have harfi illa wow and you have ya there as well, but this is not on the last letter. In Nahw, they only are interested in the last letter. So last letter is dal, and that's a consonant letter, nice letter, no harfi illa there. That's the even with hamza, they're not bothered. As long as there is no alif or ya at the last position. For Nahwi, for grammarian. The morphologists, they are much more meticulous, and they're very, you could say, finicky about every detail. So for them, wajada, no, not at all, because there's wow at fa position. Fa kalima is wow, not interested. There's harfi illa. Qala, there's alif there, not interested. Rama at the end is alif. Can you see alif at the end? You can't, but you pronouncing it. Remember, I mentioned it before. Keep that in mind, that whatever you say, whatever you pronounce, that is the letter, not what you see or not what's written. So when you say Rama, what is the last letter you're pronouncing? That's alif. Okay, Rama, mim alif ma, asqala. So this is alif. Although it's written like that. It's like Yahya. Okay. Good. So da'a, there's alif at the end. So no, they wouldn't let you have that. So there is harfi illa at fa position, harfi illa at ain position, harfi illa at lam position, harfi illa at lam position. Okay, so these are all full of harf illa letter, and they do not like it. They say this is not sahih. This one, they say akala. There's hamza at fa position. Qara'a, he ate, he read. There's hamza at the lam position. This you can also say ra's, ra'sun, hamza at ain position, head. Two verbs. This is noun. Tanween confirms it. So not happy because there's hamza at one or the other position. No sahih. What about this one? There's no harf illa there, where there is with wow. So that is not good. Wadda. So it has got harf illa and it has got two dal there. Can you see two dal? Although you can't see it, but they are. With that sign is called tajdeed. It means the letter is doubled. Shad. Whenever you see this, it means the letter is doubled. Square root. Whenever you see it has two letters, first one is always silent, second one is always active. That is the nature. That is the rule. So wadda has got two dal. Wad, the first dal, second. The second one has got the fatha on it. So this is how it would always be. Farra, likewise, far, first ra is sakina, second ra is mutaharrik with fatha, farra. So this one hasn't got any defective letter, no harf illa, alif wa ya, but it has two ra's, which mean that this is not on. They wouldn't accept that. These are all weak, non-sahih, non-salim letter. Okay, defective letter, whatever you want to call it. Now here you would say nasara. This is perfect. Hasn't got any harf illat at any position. Okay, because this is sarf. It deals with all three positions, all the positions, 5, 10, however many positions. Daraba, happy with the dakhala, happy with that. Alima, amila. So they're all. So there's no letter revised, no problem at all. They're all good. These are sahih. Okay. Let's move on. Again, we are back on declension. Declension. With ism and with fi'l mudari, you remember this declension or the munsarif is only seen in ism and in fi'l mudari. Fi'l madi, it doesn't have, it is mabni, so you do not see a munsarif form there. So here we're looking at ism only now. So fi'l mudari will be on the next slide. Ism could be marfu, mansub, and majroor, and you could look at that. Talibun marfu, because this is singular form. For singular form, the marfu state is denoted by tanween, two tanween, or even one dhamma. At-talibu, if you add al, that would make it at-talibu. At-talibani, at-talibatani, same. Talibani is tathniya. Ani is the sign of rafa. Like wa ani, talibatani, ani. Again, tathniya for feminine. Tullabun, so this is jama mukassar. Talib, tullab. You've broken this structure. Ta with fatha, you've made it into dhamma. You've added extra lam there because shad means two lams. You've removed that alif and you brought it after the lam. So you have changed it actually. The structure is broken. It is broken. Mukassar, jama mukassar. Jama mukassar takes the same same i'rab in rafa as the singular. Tullabun to rafa. Talibuna. Obviously, if you put al there, at-tullabu, the tanween will become one dhamma only. At-talibuna. This is jama salim. Talib, you just added una or ina. Ina would come here. Una would be here. Una, marfu state. And talibatun. Talibatun, jama muannas salim. Tanween. So see that? That's how you do in marfu, which you have already done and you know it, just a revision. And in mansub, طالبا طالبين آني أيني أيني آني أيني أيني طالبتين طالبتين طلاب طلابا طلاب same طالبون طالبين طالبين مرفوع and طالبات طالبات طالبات. Now you know why we said we always make you memorize it like this. Talibun, taliban, talibin. Atun, atin, atin. Here. Una, ina, ina. Yeah. Ani, aini, aini. Twice. Aini, aini. Why two? Because marfu, mansub, majroor. Now you have that ingrained in your mind, hopefully. Let's look at fi'l mudari. Fi'l mudari marfu state would be ya'budu with dhamma, then ya'budu ta'budu. Ta'budina. So don't look at the ta'budina and say, oh, is that una ina ina? No. That's una ina ina is jama mudhakkar salim. This ina is actually a verb. That is noun. This is verb. This is singular. From your ya'budu ya'budani ya'buduna, ta'budu ta'budani ya'buduna, ta'budu ta'budani ta'buduna, ta'budina. This ta'budina is second person, feminine, female. And you are saying, Anti ta'budina, you worship, oh my daughter, oh my sister, oh my wife, oh my mother. For one female, you say, Anti ta'budina, you are worshipping, or you worship. Okay? So this is ina for that feminine, singular, second person. So don't confuse that. Is that clear? Good. So ya'budani, again, this is marfu state. Ya'budani is marfu state. For tathniya, ta'budani marfu state. For tathniya, ya'buduna for, and ta'buduna, this is for jama, again in marfu state. So don't get confused. Ta'buduna, ta'budina. No, they have nothing to do with each other. This is for second person, plural, masculine. This is second person, singular, feminine. This is third person, plural, masculine. Okay. So isn't that getting confused now when I say it like this? Because you haven't looked at that from that angle. But although you know it, if you think. That is why memorizing the Girdan is like times table. There's benefit in that. If you've forgotten it, you have to revise it again. If you never did it, make it a point that you should do it. Otherwise, you will continue to struggle. Okay. Mansub. Lan ya'buda, lan ta'buda. Lan would make it into majzoom state. Lan ta'budi, lan ya'buda, so lan would make it into mansub state, as we could see. And you drop the noon i'rabi wherever it is, and you change the dhamma into fatha wherever you could, and rest is fine. For jama muannas salim, it remains the same because they cannot accept any change. For majzoom, you just do them or put them in a jazm state, which is this sign or small dal sign, and you drop the noon i'rabi from wherever there is, here, 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 but not here, because this is jama muannas salim for second and third person, and you don't change them at all. Rest you make it with sukoon at the end, sukoon at the end. And these are the nawasib mudari, those that give mudari and nasab state. And these are the ones which give jazm, ane muqaddara. Okay, so ane muqaddara is something that we needed to do today. But I think we cannot do today for the fact that it's 3 minutes to go for our Asr prayer. So apologies for that. It will change very soon because the time would be changing here very quickly. So hopefully we would have our time in the next couple of weeks, brought forward, and then we might do our lesson after the Asr prayer so that we do not miss our Jama'ah, inshallah ta'ala. So with that, I will take your leave. Jazakallahu khaira. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We revise the same, we do the same lesson again, whatever is left next week, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.